A few videos back you may have noticed this guy popping up, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and this is an area of huge controversy, of course, the whole dinosaur issue. Many people ask, why doesn't the Bible mention dinosaurs? Some people think the existence of dinosaurs disproves the Bible in some way. Indeed, I've even heard someone say that they can't believe in the Bible specifically because it doesn't mention dinosaurs. So this is quite a big and controversial issue, which is why in this episode we're going to take a look at it. Now, before we continue, I should say that I'm not an expert on this particular subject. This is an area that I don't really go into on this channel very often. It's a large and complex subject. In fact, it's so large that entire professions, sciences, and ministries are established just around what happened to the dinosaurs. And it's not a settled science either. Ideas are constantly shifting about this. But for what it's worth, and that might not be very much, this is how I answer the question of dinosaurs. The first thing to say is that the Bible actually may mention dinosaurs. Now, you won't find the word dinosaur in the Bible because that word was only invented by a man called Sir Richard Owen in 1841. But in the book of Job, which incidentally is considered by most scholars to be the oldest book of the Bible, predating even Genesis, we find descriptions of two animals that sound very much like dinosaurs. Firstly, the Bible describes something called a behemoth. And this description seems to match what we would refer to as a sauropod, something like Diplodocus or Brontosaurus. The Bible says that behemoth was a herbivore, eating grass, and we know that sauropods like these were indeed herbivores. The Bible says it had the feature of powerful loins and belly. Again, that is a feature of sauropods too. The Bible says its tail was like a cedar tree, and just for reference, this is what a cedar trunk looks like. And again, that matches sauropods' tails. Indeed, that's probably the most distinctive feature of sauropods. There's nothing really in existence today that has a tail like a cedar tree. The description goes on to say that it would get its food in the mountains, but that it could also spend time partially submerged in water. Again, this fits with what scientists think about some sauropods. The Bible says the behemoth was so large that it wasn't disturbed by raging rivers. Well, a sauropod wouldn't be. And the Bible suggests humans couldn't tame it or cause it to follow. All of these biblical descriptions don't match anything in existence today, but do match very closely to sauropods. And then in the next chapter of Job, we come across another creature called Leviathan. Again, there is no modern equivalent to what is being described in this passage, but it does seem to have dinosaur-like features. Apparently its hide was so thick that spears had no impact on it. It had enormous strength. Its teeth were said to be terrible. The Bible says it had scales like rows of shields on its back. That brings to mind several dinosaur-like images. Apparently Leviathan struck terror into humans because nothing could stop it. Iron was like straw, bronze like rotten wood. Clubs were about as effective as blades of grass when it attacked. And it was so big that when it moved through water, it would churn it up into a white froth. So again, the Bible may mention dinosaurs. We don't know for sure what's being described in Job 40 and 41, but they do seem to be dinosaurs. Those descriptions are certainly of no animal that exists in our time. But hang on a second. How could the people in Job's time have known about dinosaurs? The accepted wisdom is that dinosaurs died out 66 million years before humans. Well, I'm not going to dig into this in this video, but there is some other evidence through cave paintings, artwork, and carvings that people from around Job's era would have known about dinosaurs. Dinosaur-like imagery pops up in most ancient civilizations' artwork in most parts of the world. There are creatures that evidently existed then and that were known to them that simply don't exist today, and often they seem to look like dinosaurs. For example, here's a Roman mosaic of Ethiopians hunting something like a dinosaur. Here's a cave painting from the Amazon rainforest appearing to show people hunting a dinosaur. Archaeologists have also found dinosaur fossils with red blood cells and soft tissue still intact, which again suggests that they existed far more recently than is commonly thought. I'm not going to dig into this further for two reasons. Firstly, because I'm not really confident enough right now to unpack this, and secondly, because I don't want any of what I've said so far to distract from the main point of this video. Everything that I've said so far is really just preamble to point number 3, which is this. That if you say you won't believe in the Bible if it doesn't mention dinosaurs, you're being silly. I mean, really, it's like saying you won't believe eyewitness testimonies of the Titanic sinking if they don't mention giraffes. It's like saying you won't believe eyewitness testimonies of World War II battles if they don't mention parakeets. Why would they mention giraffes and parakeets? That's got nothing to do with the story that those people are trying to tell. And it's the same thing with the Bible. You see, the Bible isn't a zoology textbook. It's not a book of taxonomy. The Bible doesn't exist to be an encyclopedia of the animal kingdom. The Bible's purpose is essentially to tell a story, the big story of the universe. How God created the world, how sin entered the world through man's rebellion, how that separated us from God, and how God initiated a plan of restoration and redemption through His Son, Jesus Christ. That is the big picture. That's the grand narrative that the Bible is telling. And like with any narrative, the Bible will only mention things that are relevant to that narrative. Now, sometimes animals are relevant, so sometimes animals do get mentioned in the Bible, but they're only ever incidental to that big picture.
And we rowed away from the ship as fast as we could, because one has to do that, because I believe the suction when a vessel goes down is absolutely enormous. And we rowed away, and I didn't close my eyes at all. I saw that ship sink. And I saw that ship break in half. And for so many years, people have argued with me about that. But now at last, it has been proven beyond all doubt that she did break in half. I know she did, I saw her. And the forepart went down nose first, and the stern of that ship stood up in the water for quite a long time, or it seemed a long time to me, and then keeled over.
Yeah. No. Cool story, Eva, but unfortunately you didn't mention the African glass catfish, which is a fish that I happen to know about. So unfortunately, I can't believe a word of what you're saying here about the Titanic. In fact, unless you list every type of fish that exists in the ocean in alphabetical order, I can't believe anything that you're saying here about the Titanic. It must just all be false. See how ludicrous that is? In fact, it would be weird if she suddenly stopped her narrative and said, do you know what? Unless I demonstrate a knowledge of kangaroos, people in the future aren't going to believe this story. So let me just say to the world, I know about kangaroos. Okay, back to my story of the Titanic. Imagine someone today was to write the story of 2020 from an eyewitness perspective, everything that happened with coronavirus. And then imagine someone 4,000 years in the future reading it and saying, well, this can't be true. Why not? Well, it doesn't mention panda bears. Why is that relevant? Well, panda bears don't exist now and are therefore exotic to me, but panda bears did exist in 2020. Therefore, I expect every story from 2020 to mention panda bears, otherwise that story can't be true. It's just so silly. And if that's your line of thinking, then you're placing a condition on the Bible that you would literally never apply at any other time, to any other narrative, to any other book. So that's how I would answer the dinosaur question. Number one, the Bible actually may mention dinosaurs. Number two, there's evidence they existed far more recently than is commonly thought. And number three, regardless of all of that, to demand the Bible mention dinosaurs or any type of animal to prove its veracity is just a bit daft.